At the end of last year, the company that I work for got together for a 2-day workshop to kind of talk about the next year and what the plans are. And a big part of that was looking at AI and how we're going to leverage that as a company moving forward, not just as an engineering unit, but how the rest of the company can use the different tools and improve processes and things like that. The kind of things that you've all been doing for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. And so with a couple of weeks off over the break, that gave me the opportunity without having to, touch a computer after I've finished work for the day to really sit down and look at the different technologies and the agents and the tools and figure out, how I wanted to use that moving forward. And something else that came up in that time was a lot of people started talking about rediscovering this notion of Git work trees. If you've used Git for any period of time, the typical process is to clone down a repository, check out a branch, do some work. The problem then becomes, if you want to do a discrete piece of work, if a bug comes up, you've got to stash your changes, you've got to go and change branches, make the changes, send a PR, come back, forget that you've made that stash, lose the stash, recreate stuff, whatever the case may be. So I've been using them for quite a while because it's quite useful, especially when you're reviewing pull requests, to basically pull that down in without disrupting the things that you're working on yourself, and then tearing it down just as easily. But work trees are a bit of a different way of working, and they also have a bit of overhead in terms of setup and scaffolding and things like that. And I thought I would use this as an opportunity to do something a bit different than what I would normally do. In discovering how to use the AI tools. And so I built this little application called Arbor. It's written in Go. Well, I built. The AI built, I steered it. This Go application, the main reason I chose Go is just because it has a lot of the inbuilt Git stuff. It has lots of tooling and packages around UI and things like that. And it's also compilable, so we can get a binary that can go on Linux, macOS, Windows. And so I thought I might just take you on a little bit of a tour, show and tell of what Arbor is. I'm going to use the Inertia Ping CRM as a bit of a showcase here. So if you were to look at, typically you would check out the repository into Ping CRM and then it would serve. So I don't have it in the application at all on my computer. So if I was to Arbor init, we only have the ability right now to check out existing things, not create new repositories. That's probably something for down the road. But we will detect if you have the GitHub CLI installed. And if you do, you can use the owner/repo or just the repo name. And if you don't, then you can pass the full git at GitHub or HTTPS or whatever. So we'll pull in Ping CRM. And what this will do is it'll clone down the repository for you. It'll set it up in your code sites, wherever. It'll detect the branch. It'll also detect for you the type of application that it is. Now, because I predominantly work with Laravel and PHP, this is the first thing that it supports. The idea is that it will support whatever. We'll be able to create different presets. My intent is also to be able to augment the scaffolding that happens as part of that process to make sure that you can inject your own things. I know that for our work application, it's a bit more than a default Laravel app. You've got to also go and create additional databases, run different seeders and things like that. So making this as configurable as possible whilst providing a good base level of the common presets scaffolding is really useful. So if we go into this Ping CRM directory and have a look around, you'll see that when you go in there, in a normal Git environment, you would expect to see all of your application code in here. And when you open up in the browser, it would just work. A little bit different in the worktree sense in that you can't map the parent, so the Ping CRM folder, to the master directory, but we handle that for you. So if we go back here now, we'll see that Ping CRM is loading. And that's because we effectively figure out what your default branch is, and then we'll map the site name, which is the parent folder, to that, and we'll run a herd link for you automatically. Run it with the secure, so you've got a certificate for local development and things like that. And if we go into this master directory now, we will see all of our Laravel application stuff. We can see that, if we run Artisan, we can see the Artisan version. If we run Tinker, we can run, we've got all of this stuff here. If we grab the first user, we'll see, John Doe at example was created at 02/21/26. Pretty good. Now, if we run the arbor list command, it will show us all of our checked out work trees. It will show us the current one we're in, the main one, and things like that. So I talked about having multiple branches at the same time. If you use the arbor work command, right, this will look at your local and remote branches that already exist. You can create a new work tree based on things that are already there, or we'll create a new one here, arbor demo. And so this is going to do the same thing again. It will detect that we're inside of a Laravel application. It'll run all the scaffolding steps. It'll copy your environment example file. It'll run composer install or composer update, depending on whether your log file exists. It will run artisan key generate. It'll check if you're using SQLite, it'll make sure the database.sqlite file exists. If you're using MySQL, it'll go off and create a database for you using the MySQL command line, all of that kind of stuff. And so if we arbor list again, we'll see that we now have this new arbor demo worktree, which is active. And active is just a way of tracking branches that you have locally that have not been merged back to the main one. And so if we now go into the arbor demo, we'll see again, it's all set up, it's ready to go. We'll see that it's, as I said, scaffolded out the application itself. If we go into Tinker, we can do the user count and see that it has run that. And if we do a user check again, we'll see, this is obviously isolated now. So we can make whatever changes we want in there. It will show us, when we're in an active tree, which one we're working in currently. Not everyone shows the paths and things like that in their command line. When you have finished your work, right, you can run arbor remove. Now we will intelligently figure out, because we know what the master branch is, we don't want you to delete your master work tree or your main work tree, but we can simply delete that. Removing work trees is an independent operation to deleting branches. So you can remove a work tree and then create a new work tree and point it to an existing branch quite easily. For this, we're just going to blow it away. Now, one thing I didn't show, let's bring that back. One thing I didn't show is that we will automatically handle the linking of this new feature branch as well. So if we were to go into feature sum test and herd open this, right, so we're now in the feature sum test. So we handle all of that kind of stuff for you. So we showed you arbor remove. The last thing that you want to do is to clean all that stuff up. Now, each application preset will then have a whole bunch of scaffolding steps or cleanup steps. So it won't leave all of these linked paths going around, whether you use the remove command or you use what I'll show you in a minute, the destroy command. It'll go and make sure that everything gets cleaned up properly. It'll delete databases for you as well if they have been created. So if we were to run arbor destroy, it'll go through and find all of the arbor projects in your code path. So ping CRM, it will detect the work trees that it's going to remove. So it'll remove all of your children and then the main one last. So this cannot be undone. So this will go through and run the unlink for feature sum test. It will then remove that work tree and the branch. It will then do the master one and it will get you all back into a steady state. So just a bit of a fun project. I don't know. Eventually all of this stuff will probably just get built into your AI coding tools, but it was an adventure in using the tools for me in getting things set up and running and in doing something a little bit different.